Hey y'all, I'm just gonna wait to kick off in another minute or so. Just waiting to make sure everything is going well. So just we'll be kicking off in about another minute. Thanks for tuning. All right. Okay. Well, my name is Pablo. Thank you all for coming in. And let's just jump right into this presentation here about Bokashi composting. Um, I'm gonna disable my camera and jump right into this presentation. All right, but first, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for coming in. Thank you guys for showing up to this presentation. Just want to let you guys know that after this presentation, there's going to be a Q&A. So please tune in till the end. Just want to check also with Yvette to make sure that um, I'm being heard, that you guys are getting my audio. Yeah, just let me know in the comment section if you guys are listening to me as well before I proceed. Otherwise, Yvette, just let me know, text me, or just put it in the chat box that audio is coming in well before I take this off. Everything is clear. Fantastic. Okay. All right. So I got the green light. Let's jump right into this presentation here. If you're a composter, if you're in attendance today, tonight, and you're composting, just let us know in the comment section. Let us know what type of composting methods you're using, whether it be vermicomposting like we do, Bokashi composting, hot composting, cold composting, um, outdoor composting, whatever method you're using. Let us know. Let us know what method you're using, so we know, who's in the house, who's in attendance, and whatnot. So yeah, let yourself be known. All right, so here's what to expect from the presentation tonight on Bokashi composting. We hope for you to go away with learning about our composting journey. You learn a little bit about our composting journey. You learn why we should compost our food scraps. Learn about Bokashi's origins, how it works, the pros and cons, find out what materials are needed, what to do with Bokashi, and learn some interesting facts about Bokashi. So those are the things, the takeaways for today. We also just want everyone to leave tonight just being inspired to get out there, like whether you're composting or not, maybe adding Bokashi to your tool belt, your composting tool belt, or if you haven't gotten into it, we hope to inspire you to jump into Bokashi, and we're going to let you know more about why this. I think this is a really good um, method to jump into, especially if maybe you have some intimidations when it comes to composting. Okay, so here's some images of me and my family. We're waste managers. Um, I'm right there to the left in the blue shirt. I have my sons, Marita, our worm mentor. I have AJ, our eldest, Kaden, and Yvette, also my wife, my partner there. We have some other images there. AJ's on the bottom left, sifting out his first batch of castings. Caden on the right, bottom right, just messing around with some shredded paper. And all the way to the right is Marita and Yvette. And she is our worm mentor, our vermicomposting mentor. And shout out to her, special thanks to her. She really set us off on a journey here since when she gave us some composting worms. So this has been quite a journey with my family. We're waste managers. That's what we do. Disclaimer. So we are advanced composters, but not quite experts yet. I'm pointing at Yvette because she's the real expert. We're just trying to figure this out, guys. And we're going to share a little bit more about our composting journey in the next slide after this one. But here's what our composting systems look like. Um, we have our worm bins on the top, where the arrow says there worm bins. Those are our worm bins that we made out of 55-gallon at a 55-gallon rain barrel or just a barrel. And then to the bottom where it says Bokashi buckets, that's our Bokashi buckets. And the Bokashi buckets feed our worm bins. So we kind of have like a closed loop system. The worms really, really like the Bokashi. And we're going to show you an updated, a recent picture of what our worm bins look like with the Bokashi since we've been introducing it into there. All right, here's a picture of our 2-year composting. I missed that there. Picture of our 2-year composting journey. Let's start at the top left corner. The spring of 2022, we started with a tumbler compost system. I built that with some friends of mine. It was like a community style event. That was cool. And then we continued in the fall of 2022. Marita had our mentor, our worm mentor, worm composting mentor. She gave us some worms. I can't remember how many she gave. I want to say like somewhere between like 50 and 100 or something like that. She gave us some worms, and we started in a small 5-gallon bucket vermicomposting. And then in the summer of 2023, we phased out the tumbler system and increased our vermicomposting scale. And we started experimenting with Bokashi. The tumbler composting system was fun. It was a fun project, but it just wasn't. I wouldn't say working. It wasn't the best fit for us. It wasn't the best fit for me. It wasn't really working the best way. I guess I wasn't really too involved in that system. So we phased that out, and then we increased our vermicomposting system. And then in the fall of 2023, so in the summer of 2023, we also started experimenting with Bokashi. In the fall of 2023, we decided to we started Bokashi composting and combined it with our vermicomposting system. So we didn't start it in 2023, but we introduced it into our vermicomposting system of the fall of 2023. And so we've been composting for 2 years. We really would love to. I would love to see us, continue introducing different methods. Hot composting would be really awesome to introduce in our tool. I would even love, human manure, outdoor composting systems. That would be awesome as well. So we definitely want to continue experimenting with that. But this is the extent of our experience, our composting experience. So I think this is a really cool slide right here. We have converted, we turned, how do I put this? I'm sorry. So we've been tracking since August of 2023, and we have been able to convert 285 pounds of compost. So we turned our food scraps into 285 pounds of compost. I'm sorry, I got kind of jumbled up with that, but that's really, just thinking about that, just putting this slide together, I was like, wow, that's really cool that, we've been able to do that, take what, is considered waste and convert that into actual gold. So I think that's just fascinating, and I hope that inspires people. And it's able to be done. We're doing it, and really a lot of fun. So let's get into the why should we compost our food scraps. So households are responsible for the largest waste. It's about 76 billion pounds of food per year is being wasted. That's a big number. I saw many different numbers. Um, However, just for, just so you guys can see as an example, like just this number alone, 76 billion pounds of waste is a whole lot. It's a whole lot of waste there, and that's definitely a good reason why we should start composting, so we can start, taking back some of that waste and turning it into something that is usable. So the average person in the U.S. wastes about 238 pounds of food per year, and that waste also costs us, each person, $1,800 per year. So not only are we wasting food, or wasting in the form of management of waste, but we're also wasting money. So that's in a double negative there. Um, and then continuing that waste, Americans spent over $1 billion for garden soil. So not only are we wasting all those materials, and that can be used for, converted into gold, but we're also spending money on that waste, and then we're spending even more money to buy the same thing that we just threw out. So imagine that, $1 billion uh, was spent in 2022 for garden soil. That's definitely waste. So here are the contributors to household waste: spoiled food, uneaten quantities, expiration label confusion. Hey, if you toss it in the compost, it's not waste. It's not waste if it's composted. So that's one way to think about it. Like, that's what helps me whenever, I throw anything, whenever, I don't eat any quantities of food or anything like that. I just think about it like, hey, I'm gonna turn to soil soon. So the largest component of US landfills is food waste at 24%. So the largest component at the landfills is food waste. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about landfills in this next slide here. Why are landfill sites so harmful to the environment? Because they lead to the pollution and contamination of our air, land, and waterways. They also lead to massive economic costs. Um, yeah, these I've been to these landfills. I'm sure many people have driven by them or seen them. They are very they're destructive. They don't smell great. They don't look good. They're an eyesore, and I'm sure um, just curbing that 24%, even if it's a small percentage of your food waste, will really help with these numbers there, these facts right there. Also, another benefit to composting is it gets you connected with nature. This is Caden here, um, doing his thing, with composting. He really enjoys it, and yeah, it gets you into nature. If you're not really much of the Captain Planet type person, which we necessarily weren't, I wasn't. I really got into composting because I just wanted to get connected with nature. I wanted to, you know, just start composting. I thought that was a really cool thing to do, and it really has got me connected with nature. I'm fascinated with it. I really enjoy the whole process. You could ask my family. I'm just always digging into it, putting my hands into it, and it's a really, really cool process. That gets you connected with nature. So even if you're not one of the sustainability or green type, or global warming fanatic, or whatever it is, I think just the sheer act of getting you connected with nature is what sold me. So I just wanted to share that there, in that slide there. So let's review the benefits, let's review the benefits of composting. It reduces waste, it saves money on soil, and it connects us with nature. So which system do you want to which system do you want to choose? Do we want to continue filling up these landfills with waste, or do we want some sort of home composting system? Um, Sorry about that. I'm in a public area, so apologies for that. So yeah, which system do we want to contribute to the landfills or to home composting? And in the bottom, the composting system I have there from the left is the Bokashi bucket system. I have in the middle is a worm compost system, and then to the right is a banana circle there. That's another style of composting system um, that you can do as well. So I'm gonna share this video here. I'm gonna stop sharing um, this here, and I'm gonna share this video that talks about living soil. And this is another benefit to composting. It's almost like similar to the food that is coming out of your kitchen. The compost that is coming out of your home composting system. And I think this video right here does a really good explanation on like why composting is important, because you get to create living soil. And the soil that we buy often in you know the soil that we buy in these box stores are they're not living. They have to put it through a heating process that kills all the bacteria, even the good bacteria in there. So if we do it at home, we know that it's going to have all the good bacteria that we need to improve and build our soil. So let me stop this share here and share this video with you guys. Let's see, it's this one here. Let me try this again.
Ecosystem what it is. Let's take a moment to meet just two important
to
soil. See, in the forest soil, there are some very important yet practically invisible populations that make the organic ecosystem what it is. Let's take a moment to meet just two important ones. First is bacteria. They act like tiny food storage banks for your plants. So tiny, up to 500,000 can fit inside the period at the end of this sentence. They are the Earth's primary decomposers of organic matter, locking up nutrients close to the plant's roots that might otherwise leach out. When the bacteria die, those nutrients are released to the plant. A second key helper for plants is mycorrhizae. This beneficial fungus lives symbiotically with the plant's roots. The roots provide the carbon the fungus needs to grow, and the fungus transports water and nutrients beyond the reach of the roots.
This is where the fungus, in the form of a huge network of threads called the mycelia, runs through the earth and connects with the root system of neighboring plants, in this case, a beech tree. Innumerable threads create a dense network around the tree's outermost fine roots. Through the widely branched mycelium, the fungi can very efficiently absorb water and minerals, including phosphorus and nitrogen, and through the individual threads, transport them straight into the tree roots. From there, the water and minerals are transported into the leaves. In the cells of the leaves, photosynthesis takes place, creating dextrose from water, carbon dioxide, and the sun's energy. So much dextrose is produced that it's more than enough for the whole beech tree. What is left over, which can be up to a third, is transported underground. For fungi, this process is essential for survival, as they themselves cannot produce any dextrose. This form of symbiosis is called mycorrhiza, and there are advantages for both partners. The fungi helps the tree to absorb water, and in return, it gets dextrose to survive and grow. In the root system of a tree, there can be more than 30 types of mycorrhiza fungi. They create a network between the trees. Via this fungal connection, a strong tree can supply its weaker neighbors with nutrients. Some mycorrhiza fungi can even coexist with many different plants, an ingeniously designed underground network.
Soil.
All right, so let me get back to my presentation here. So yeah, as you guys seen in that video there's a lot going on in our soil. And like I said, in the box stores, like all that microscopic bacteria that you can have if you buy some really good quality soil is missing in a lot of places. And like I said, in your kitchen, in your home, you know what is being cooked. The same thing is applied to your compost. You know what is going to be in there, especially because you're making it and you know that it's not being put through any process. I'm forgetting the name of the process that a lot of the compost goes through in these box stores, but it basically goes through a heating process where they kill off a lot of bacteria. So if you can make your own compost, it's 100 times better. And especially with Bokashi composting, because Bokashi composting, it's inoculated with all these bacteria and all these microorganisms. And here's an image of our worm bins. When we started introducing Bokashi to our worm bins, we just saw an explosion of microorganisms, of mycelium, fungi, and all types of stuff. Like there is a bunch of different types of fungi and mushrooms in our bins since we started introducing Bokashi. I mean, it's a fungally dominated soil, so it's just teeming with life. It's really amazing to see, and this is what I'm talking about with Bokashi composting, just getting you into nature. Like it's so cool to be able to see this, like right in my lanai, right when I go outside, at home and look in these worm bins and just see how much life is in here. And that life that was shown in that video is what really makes the connection, what really makes the difference in gardening, in planting, and all these things. It really boils down to the soil, the quality of soil you have. So I hope that point went through with that video and these pictures there. All right, so now let's jump in and talk about Bokashi. So Bokashi is a Japanese word that means fermented organic matter. The process of fermenting organic waste for composting has been practiced throughout Asia for centuries. But in the 1980s, the practice of fermenting organic waste regained popularity in Japan thanks to this man over here, Dr. Turo Higa. He developed a mixture of microbes, and in the next video that I'm going to show, it's going to tell you exactly like the three main classes of microbes. But he created a mixture of effective microorganisms, also known as EM1. And he created the Bokashi compost process with the help of that creation of EM1. So thank you, Dr. Turo Higa, for your contribution. So here's a video here of just talking about EM1, talking about effective microorganisms, and what that is all about. So real quick, like I said, so Bokashi, the system, to go back, so you guys understand the context of this video, is talking about the medium, the EM1, that is basically used in the Bokashi composting system. And I'm going to explain the whole system in a little bit right after this, but this is basically the star of the show. This is the main component to the whole Bokashi composting, the microorganisms that's in there. So I'm going to stop talking and stop sharing this and try to smoothly share this video over here. Thank you guys for your patience and for your time, and I hope you guys are learning something so far. All right, here is the video. Let me see. Let me just make sure. Click this button over here. Do that. All right.
The world in which we live in, teeming with a diverse array of tiny microorganisms. Microorganisms are living organisms that exist at the bottom of the ecological pyramid. When the number and variety of microorganisms increase, the whole ecosystem is enriched. EM is created by combining specific microorganisms which work together synergistically, such as lactic acid bacteria, yeast, and phototrophic bacteria. When you apply EM on the ground, EM will ferment organic matter within the soil, and other microorganisms in the soil will feed on the fermented matter. Also, metabolites produced by EM will help activate other beneficial microorganisms. When desirable microorganisms increase in number, other living things, such as worms, will increase along with them. The same is true in aquatic systems. As EM decomposes sludge, water quality improves, and the ecosystem is returned to normal. EM is also effective in removing stains and odors. The organic acids in EM neutralize components such as ammonia. Moreover, both EM bacteria and the enzymes they produce will decompose the root chemicals of odors and stains, keeping rooms free of foul smells and preventing dust and dirt from accumulating. If the soil is good, you can grow safe and delicious vegetables. If the water is clean, you can grow healthy shrimp and fish. If odors are reduced, the barn environment will improve and livestock can grow up healthy, producing delicious meat and eggs. Using EM in your everyday life to harness the power of microorganisms will lead to a better global environment.
All right. So as you can see, EM has a lot of use cases. And when we first started Bokashi Composting, we actually started just with one of those microorganism components, which was lactic acid bacteria. And later on, now we're actually using EM specifically to do our Bokashi composting. So you can do both of them. You can do either just using one of the components, which we were using, lactic acid bacteria, or you can use the actual effective microorganisms. You can make the solution yourself, or you can purchase it. It's pretty simple. We're going to talk about that in a second as well. So let's talk about how it works. So basically, in simple terms, it's 3 steps here. You mix it, you ferment it, you transfer and rotate it. I don't know why I sound like Missy Elliott for a second with that. But so step 1 is the mixing step, right? Bokashi pre-composting is a 3-step process. And the first step is mixing. You mix a variety of food scraps. You don't add any liquids in there with an inoculated, which means infused medium. So this is typically some type of grain or wheat bran with effective microorganisms. So the wheat bran is inoculated with the effective microorganisms, the beneficial organisms. And this can be made easily at home or purchased locally. So you mix your food scraps with either one of these materials here, whether it be a liquid solution or a dry solution, right? It could be the EM1 solution. You can make it yourself. You can just use the lactic acid bacteria or do the whole process yourself. But it's fairly simple. We've done it ourselves, and it's worked effectively. Or you can do a dry solution, which we just we're experimenting with as well. So that's the first step. You mix this inoculated material with your food scraps, and then you ferment it, which is the second step. So once the bucket is full, you place it in a shaded area to ferment. The microorganisms thrive in an anaerobic environment, which means an environment without oxygen. They eliminate harmful pathogens and unpleasant odors. This step can take about 2 to 4 weeks. After the container is filled and sealed, it can take 2 to 4 weeks after the container is filled and sealed. So whenever you see white fungal mold and or smell a pickled smell, those are signs of a successful process. So like I said, the first step is mixing the materials with the inoculated solute medium, and then allowing that whole mixture to ferment for about 2 to 4 weeks, and the microorganisms are doing their job, pickling that and pre-composting it um, for you to use later for this third step, which is transfer. So then after it's fermented, and after that 2 to 4 weeks, and it's fermented, you open up your container and you see white mold, and you smell that it's pickled. It's a pickled, like coffee pickled smell. You know that it's ready to be transferred, either to be trenched, put into a soil factory, or put into a hot compost system to help accelerate the composting process. And or you can feed it to your worms like we're doing. So you transfer the pre-composted food scraps into an aerobic environment, which is now you're introducing that anaerobic anaerobic materials to an aerobic environment, which is an environment with oxygen, for another 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the weather. It is wise to have a 2 to 3 bucket rotation. So when one bucket is fermenting, you have another one ready to reset. So this whole process could take you about 2 months from start to finish, right? So you have the first process, which is in the bucket, in the anaerobic environment, and then the second process, which is aerobic, which is in, whether it be in any one of these um, conditions, and then that's going to be another 2 to 4 weeks. So yeah, it could be about 2 months after it's all said and done, and we've seen it through, and it's legit. Like, this is a really fast way to do it. We've experimented with it for almost 8 months now, so we can definitely say that this has been working, and I know a lot of people are having that same experience, and we've had issues with it. We've had mishaps, and we've had our mistakes, but that's just how things are when you're experimenting and trying something out for the first time. So here's a like an infographic that I created with 5 steps for a successful Bokashi compost system. It's 3 steps, 3 steps, from the start to finish. But here are 5 steps that'll help you go through like a successful system, from bin setup to the opening to actually introducing it to a aerobic system. And we have these infographics. If you're interested in it, just reach out to us. There's a bunch of really great material online as well, but here's just one that we're providing for the community as well. So reach out to us if you want that. The Bokashi composting is a simple solution to integrate food waste management at home, work, or school. Here are the pros and the cons. So the pros for Bokashi composting: it's simple, it's fast, it's small scale, and it can be done just about anywhere, even in an apartment. There's no unpleasant odors. There are odors, but I would say it's unpleasant when done correctly. The smell is likened to pickled coffee or pickled crackers, like Caden likes to say. Allows you to compost any organic material easily. That's what I love about this system. We put our dairy, we put our meat in there. Yvette just made some, she just made some bone broth the other day, and we took the spent bones and we put it in there, and you can do that with the system. It minimizes worry for pests. It's storable for later use. You can just keep it in the bucket, until you're ready to use it. There's no harm in that. There's no turning required that's needed for a hot composting system. You don't need any uh, green and brown ratios for this system. You just put whatever food scraps you have. But I will say I have read to avoid too much paper. And yeah, if there's anyone that does Bokashi composting, if you can let us know what's your experience with that, with paper. I've put a lot of paper in it in the past, and we're actually trying to scale it back. It's worked, but I haven't noticed a lot of the white mold, the fungal activity that we really want to see. So we're just experimenting with it. We've seen that it worked with paper, with a decent amount of paper. I'd say like almost we probably put like 50% paper in there at one point, and now we're just trying to experiment to see what it does with less paper. So those are the pros. The cons, it requires regular additions of Bokashi bran. I was reading something the other day that about 1 cup of bran is all you need for a 5-gallon bucket. Um, so it's really not even that much bran that you need to use. And if you're making it yourself and or making the solution, it really goes a long way. Um, so the bran or another EM inoculant uh, to work. This brand will have to be purchased or made at home. It's really simple to make at home, and like I said, it will go a long way even if you have to purchase it. It is meant primarily for food waste. This is definitely one of the bigger adverse, negative takeaways from Bukashi composting. It's meant primarily for food waste. It does not have enough room to deal with grass clippings, leaves, or other yard waste. You can upscale this though if you want. You can put a bigger bucket, but I think combining Bukashi with hot composting is a really great idea. Um, if not handled properly, it can create odor problems. And I've had that. I've definitely had that in the past. So that can be a problem, but that's also solved by just adding more of the brand or just adding more of the EM is one way to minimize the smell or just start over. Um, so even though there's some cons to the system, they really aren't big ones. So the materials needed for Bokashi composting is some sort of air sealed system. You can use a gamma seal lid bucket, or you can use Airscape. I haven't used this one yet. I really want to experiment with this one because it looks like it'll have an even better airtight seal. So you just want some sort of um, a air sealed system. You want a liquid or dry solution of the EM1 solution. You're going to want some better material. We use some paper just to start off our bin to soak up any liquids that any of the food scraps would possibly generate. Then you're going to want a masher or a plate to you can use a masher or a plate to press out any of the air. If you have an airscape, one of these lids right there, it presses out the air for you. But if you don't have that, if you just have a gamma seal, you definitely want to try to eliminate any of that air when you open the lid. So mashing it out or using a plate is something you need, one of the materials you need, and your food scraps, including meats. So these are the materials you need right there. There's really not much. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4 materials per se. But yeah, that's what's needed there. And these are different types of Bukashi systems. You have a 2 bucket system. You have the top chamber that has holes in it so that the liquid can drain to the bottom. So you would take this bucket out, and this bucket here, the bottom chamber, you would just use that liquid either in your garden, dilute it, or you could throw it down your drain, like it said in the video. So there's this system. I haven't experimented with this one, but it's basically the same style as this one, the spigot system, where you're draining out that leachate or the liquid from the Bukashi. And then the system that we're using is the bucket and lid system. So we're just using a gamma seal bucket with this is what we're using, and they all work. From what I've read, from what I've heard, they all work. It just depends on what you want to your price point. If you're a DIY, you could do this one. If either one of them, but we just decided to opt for this one because it's just the simplest one for us, and it's been working. So we're gonna keep doing that one. So here's what you can do with Bokashi. You can add it to a hot compost pile. You could trench it in your garden. You can add it to a soil factory. A soil factory is just, it's basically an aerobic, it's it's a system that you add your Bokashi into, and just you can create like potting soil. Basically, is so think of potting soil. Think of when you think of soil factory, think of like creating potting soil with your Bokashi compost. You can donate it if you don't know what to do with it. You can donate it to someone who's gardening, or someone who's worm farming. You can add it to a worm bin. That's what we do. The reason we say to use caution is because during the summer months, if you're in Florida like I am, you want to introduce it slowly because it's going to, it's going to heat up the bin. So you want to use some caution. We're still experimenting with that as well, but I've read about that, and it does make sense, because it will heat up when it's introduced to air. It's going to be all the activity that's working to break down all that food scrap is going to possibly heat up your worm bin. So please, if you have any experience with that, adding Bokashi to your compost bins in Florida in the summer heat outside, let us know if you've had any problems with that. But yeah, you just want to introduce it slowly if you're first doing it. We'll get back to you, and we'll update you guys on that, going forward. Or you can store it. You can store it. You can keep it. For it. It's like having fermented food in your fridge or something like that. So you can store it for however long until you need to use it. Here's some interesting facts about Bokashi composting. Bokashi quickly returns nutrients back into the soil faster than cold composting, worm bins, and hot composting. It is said Bokashi composting is 3 times faster at creating compost. I've seen it. We've been able to turn, we've turned food scraps into compost in about 2 to 3 months. So it's definitely one of the faster type, and we do worm composting as well. So it's definitely fastest, the easiest. So that's fact number 1. Fact number 2, Bokashi brand can also be used as a natural deodorizer, as it said in the video, sprinkled into litter boxes, chicken runs, or animal bedding. Fact number 3, Bokashi is a fermenting process, a fermentation process. It's not a composting method. You're technically pre-composting your food scraps. So although I say Bokashi composting, really it's pre-composting. You're just getting it ready to be to introduce into an aerobic environment where it will just break down even in an accelerated fashion rate. Here's number 4, last one. The beneficial bacteria combination EM1 is very safe to use. It's actually fit for human consumption. I don't recommend you drink it though. And here's a little chart that we created that just shows, how Bokashi compares to all the other methods, and it checks all the boxes. We have this infographic as well if you need it, if you want to look at it more. But Bokashi checks all the boxes: minimal odor, no pests, low maintenance, quick turnaround, and you could add all food scraps to it. So we are happy to share this open source presentation. So if you're interested, reach out, contact us, let us know. Let us know if you're interested in this material. And so here's the Q&A session here, guys. I appreciate you guys for hanging out this long. So if you have any questions, this is the time to ask them. If there was anything that maybe I went over a little too quick, or maybe something that's not clear, I'm gonna throw up the chat overlay on our video. Let me see what I'm seeing here. Hey, what's up, Corey? Thanks for swinging by, man. Corey's doing compost tea and leaf compost. That sounds like, what's that? That leaf compost style? Let me put my video here. I forget what that's called, but yeah, I know what you're talking about in compost tea. Yeah, we do the same thing here as well. A compost with chickens. That's awesome. Thanks for swinging by Nature Discoveries with Oliver. Um, yeah, chicken manure is great stuff. That's really good stuff too. Um, so yeah, if anyone has any questions, let us know. Thank you guys, like I said, for hanging out. I hope this is giving you guys some interest. I hope you guys are inspired to compost after this, Bokashi compost after this presentation. I need to get vermicomposting going. Yeah, vermicomposting is another quick method. I mean, we've been able to harvest 3 times, maybe 3 or 4 times, and every time it's about 3 months. It's about 3 months. What I love about vermicomposting is we get some of the the material is fine. The worms really break it down to a very small, readily available compost for plants. So I really like what it does, and I really like introducing Bokashi to our bins because man, it's fungal. It's fungally dominated, and worms actually don't eat food scraps. They eat bacteria. They eat small bacteria. They have very small mouths. So Bokashi is perfect for worms. It's just the perfect system. And yeah, if you need help with that, Corey, man, holla at me, man. I've been doing it. We every time we harvest, we're guaranteed from those bins that you guys saw in the beginning. We're guaranteed about 100 pounds every 3 months just from those 2 bins. And Bokashi, man, like it's unbelievable. I haven't. I want to put another slide that shows how much food scraps we actually generated. Um, and we've generated a whole lot, like way more than 200 pounds since we've been doing Bokashi composting for 8 months. So yeah, I recommend getting into vermicomposting, Bokashi composting. Those are the two fastest methods. I've heard people, turn over with composting in about 2 months as well. But it's labor intensive. I mean, you're turning, and you have to have the right ratios. You have to check the heat and such, and it might take a little bit longer in the winter months, as which probably all the other methods. So I'm seeing here, Corey is saying, just have to get the materials to start it and the money to get the materials. I did the math on our system. I think it was like maybe under $80 to build out the system that we have. And it could be cheaper if you have like, the lumber and the rain barrel and such to do that. And then you're going to want to have a lid or something like that. If you're outdoor, we have it in the lanai. So we didn't need to put a bin, but I recommend, I recommend having a lid if you're outdoor, especially, due to the weather and such like that. Anybody have any questions? Anybody inspired to do Bokashi composting? This is my first time doing this presentation. I already see some things I can like kind of shave off and maybe, and kind of get to know a little bit better. It is better to put the worms in shade. Absolutely. You want to keep the worms in shade, especially in Florida. Yeah, you want to keep it outside of the sun. It'll definitely help because like even here with our worm bins, we're gonna see how we do this summer as well. But it's hard in the summer. It's a little bit more labor because you got to keep the bins moist. You got to aerate them in the summer more. You just got to keep it hydrated. So you want to keep it in an area that you can keep an eye on them because they will try to escape if they're not happy. Yes, put the worms in the shade, and definitely you want a pretty big, you want a pretty decent sized bin so that they have like different temperature ranges. so that they could burrow, to stay moist and such like that and such. So I'm going to try to keep this presentation under an hour. So if anybody has any other questions, just let me know. Otherwise, let's see. Follow us. Here's our link tree. Here's our email. Let us know what you think. Like I said, guys, there's a lot of great material. There's some good material. It's honestly, Bokashi is kind of like the best kept secret so far. It's still not really out there like that, but yeah, just let us know if you want this presentation or if you need, help finding more resources and whatnot. So, but yeah, follow us. This is our link tree. We have our YouTube. We have our Instagram on there, and if you want to donate us to us as well, we have our buy us a coffee and stuff like that there. What else we got here? Join our free composting support group on Telegram. We just started a new channel that would allow people to just post, without it just being a broadcasting channel. So yeah, join our composting support channel. We're holding space for all of us to support each other and to, just update each other and support each other in our efforts. And last but not least, share your feedback, leave some comments, let us know what you think. Let us know your experience with Bokashi composting. If there's something in the slides that maybe, can be added, or maybe something wasn't clear, or, something like that. Just let us know. Comment on there, like, share, subscribe. Appreciate Corey and Nature Discoveries with Oliver for tuning in. And I appreciate anyone who's going to watch this video, after it's uploaded, and whatnot. So thank you guys. Thank you guys again. Get composting out there, guys. I hope you guys are inspired to do Bokashi composting. Take care.